Alright, now we're working. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm your host for today's broadcast, Insanely 13, as we're preparing to get underway for our second to last race of the season here at Monza, Italy's Palace of Speed. Qualifying ended just a short while ago, and 12 drivers will be taking on to the course here. Real quickly, we'll go through the championship points as they are right now. At the bottom, 34th is Boiled Bird 888 with 80 points. 33rd is Porsche FL with 100 points. 32nd is Smap Pack with 110 points. 31st is Coca Gamer 11 with 120 points. 30th is Flag 4199. He has 127.5 points. 29th is RZM Sean with 170 points. 28th is RZM Valkyrie with 180 points. 27th is Tactical Fallout with 185. 26th is SDR Jamor with 195 points. He is tied with Dino for 25th with 195 points. 24th is DMS Snake with 210 points. 23rd is LMP Grizz with 230 points. 22nd is ACR Snake with 250 points. 21st is TireBarrier. He has 252.5 points. Tire and ACR Snake are actually in an interesting fight between each other to see how many spots up the grid they can move this season. 20th is TMS Bumdrop with 305 points. 19th is larrybtheg with 325 points. 18th is RZM Arsenal with 330 points. And it's a big jump to 17th with his Rockmorrow. He has 450 points. 16th is TTJ111, 485 points. 15th is TNR Briant with 510 points. 14th is RZM Brett with 600 points. Another big jump. 13th is Mexican Badass. He has 765 points and kind of in no man's land, not really able to move up or down very much. Another big jump, and then we get to this massive gaggle for his fight for 7th in the championship. 12th is RZX U5AMVP with 895 points. 11th is GRM Jagged with 922.5 points. 10th is TFB Matter with 960 points. 9th is NFL Racer 4812. He has 1,015 points. 8th is Ludicrous Speed with 1,045 points. 7th is MabeyRacing with 1,080 points. Then you have this fight for 5th. Prius Killer 8110. He has 1,287.5 points in 6th. 5th is SRD Shredder with 1,390 points. The fight for 3rd is still hot. We'll talk a little bit more about that shortly. But 4th in that fight is TNR Horizon. He has 1,435 points. 3rd is Mr. Sunshine. He has 1,485 points with just 2 races to go. And your championship fight as it continues to close down. 2nd is LuckyVII. He has 1,760 points. And your championship leader is Scored Buffalo, 1,789 points at this stage of the season. 34 drivers, but today we're looking at a field of about 12 cars. Might not even have all of them make it to the end of the race today. Big championship implications, that massive fight for 7th in the championship. MabeyRacing and Ludicrous Speed both are anticipated to not be able to start in today's event. So they're likely to be attacked by NFL Racer 4812. U5 likely to miss another race today. Means that any gap that he would be trying to pull or counter against the likes of TFB Matter and GRM Jagged will be undone even further, and he will likely drop to a far, far back 12th position. And then, like I said, ACR Snake and TireBarrier, those two drivers are in an interesting fight. TireBarrier has been here for a good chunk of the season, but you get your points reset outside of challenge points. You get points reset after every race that you swap a car. He did a lot of car swapping, so now he's finally committed to the Lambo in the end stretch of the season. ACR Snake has just not shown up until the last 4 races of the season. So TireBarrier and ACR Snake will have a really interesting fight for them as they're trying to climb up the championship. I'm a little bit curious where they could end up. I'm thinking 15, 16, 17 is likely. Could end up being higher depending on how they go. Big things to consider though. Mr. Sunshine, he is running the challenge for no tuning. So he is doing that fresh from the factory, no tune challenge. The only tune that is technically done. Shredder goes ahead and gets all the cars, saves the base tune as is with one exception. He linked in 6th gear just enough to make sure that the cars will not top out in a straight line. Otherwise, it's the full stock. So Mr. Sunshine not anticipated to be fighting for the podium today. And then that will help his rival for 3rd in points, TNR Horizon, because Horizon is running a separate challenge where he will earn 12 extra points if he stays in the top 3 positions throughout the entire race with the exception of lap 1. Of course, that only counts when he crosses the line, but that is what he's going for. So TNR Horizon in the Aston anticipated to be in the top 3 position all race long. Now that does not give him any leeway when it comes to pit stops. He will have to pit as late as possible and hope that he opens up a big gap over wherever the 4th place driver is going to be. Typically that's been Sunshine, but with Sunshine running a untuned car, it may be a little easier for Horizon to do that. Again, yellow flag could still happen, could still randomize the event as well. Another thing to consider is that Dino Prime, he's making his 3rd start of the season, might make one more lap next week. Dino's only made 2 starts thus far this year. Both of them were in very, very large lobbies. He's not earned a lot of championship points. That will likely turn around today. He's anticipated to show up, be fighting for 10th, 11th, 12th position, along with GRM Jagged and TFB Matter today. So those are the most significant things to talk about as we're preparing to get underway here. It will be a 41-lap race in today's event. And at the front, Scored Buffalo has the pole position with LuckyVII on the outside. So Lucky's strain of poles have been taken away. The other interesting thing is that Sunshine, despite the handicap to his car, he is actually qualified in 3rd position. So we'll talk a little bit more about that once we've loaded properly onto the circuit here. So real quickly, from the back to the front, last place is GRM Jagged. We are not sure if he's actually going to run the full race today or not, but he is here. 11th, NFL Racer 4812. I believe he also missed qualifying. He's just trying to gain any extra positions he possibly can. 10th is TireBarrier. Not an ideal start for him. He's in a Lamborghini, which is anticipated to be a fast straight line car, but here he is starting near the back of the grid. Just ahead of him is Dino Prime having his best qualifying run of the season. 8th is TFB Matter. Same thing here. Matter is on his best qualifying run of the season, so today's race could see some interesting shakeup in the mid to rear field. ACR Snake, who is fighting with TireBarrier as they're trying to climb up the points late in the season, he is going to be in 7th. Then we get up higher, TNR Horizon in 6th. Again, he needs to get into 3rd position by the end of lap 1. I don't know if he's going to be able to do it, but that's what he needs to do here. Just ahead of him in 5th place is SRD Shredder, who is in the BMW, back to having a very strong performance. 2nd highest of all the BMW qualifiers. Ahead of him, though, is his rival for that fight for 5th in championship points, Prius Killer, who is 4th. Mr. Sunshine in 3rd. Somehow, he is in 3rd position, despite not having any tuning done on that car. I'm really interested to see what his race is going to look like. And then your fight for the championship, LuckyVII is starting 2nd. Scored Buffalo is starting 1st. Early in the season, I would say that Buffalo may be in trouble because Lucky had been beating him in starts, but over the last 3 races, Scored Buffalo has had starts just as good, if not slightly better than Lucky. This is the 2nd to last race of the season. Buffalo feels a lot more confident in his ability today compared to Lucky's performance. Lucky needs to figure out a way to get ahead of Scored Buffalo and win this race, because if Lucky does not win this race, while mathematically he'll still be in championship contention, in all reality, it's likely that his title hopes will be over, as the field now doubles up 2 by 2 throughout the entire field here as they come down to the last corner. So a lot of interesting things to watch. Watch the fight between our championship leaders at the front of the field. Watch TNR Horizon, who needs to go from 5th to 3rd in the space of roughly 1 lap. And also, watch Mr. Sunshine, because I'm curious if maybe this stock tune might have an unintentional straight line speed advantage for him in that Porsche. As they come down the front straightaway, nose to tail, 2 by 2, 6 rows of GT cars will come, and we are green flag here at Italy's Palace of Speed. And it is a drag race, and ACR Snake dives to the inside of SRD Shredder. They are 3 wide now, already for the 5th position, and Shredder is falling. Lucky has his nose ahead as they come down into the chicane, and Lucky is turned! Lucky has been turned in front of the field, and Scored Buffalo gets out of it, and TNR Horizons are after 3rd. Prius is half and further back, and turn 1 has been an absolute crap fest. But already TNR Horizon has gone up to 3rd, and now here comes Sunshine around BMW runs right behind Mr. Sunshine. He is drafting off of the Porsche as it goes down the second of the backs of the straights here. 2 back straightaways here, 3 straights overall. And Sunshine is pulling massively in a straight line. Buffalo runs right behind. TNR Horizon is third, but he needs to keep Lucky behind him and he needs to do that somehow for the rest of this race, or let Lucky get up there and get by multiple people immediately and overtake. Horizon's championship challenge is at massive risk right now, and they are nose to tail. Also, look at ACR Snake. He is up there in the 5th position. Incredibly unexpected. That chaotic first lap has really upended things, and now Lucky is to the inside of Horizon. It is a drag race for the 3rd position, and that challenge that TNR Horizon is going for may be over before it even begins. At the front, Mr. Sunshine is leading. We have not seen him doing this on somewhat merit since the first race of the season at Bathurst. But it's not easy. Buffalo closes right behind that Porsche, coming through the corners, and only in the straight lines does that Porsche start pulling away. But the good news for Sunshine is that there are a lot of straight lines here, and TNR Horizon now slips down to 4th position. This could be really problematic because he needs to be in the top 3 at the end of every lap, starting from lap 2 on. Snake goes to the dirt farther back. He's going to lose some time now. Buffalo's gone to the dirt, and now here comes Lucky. Lucky's going to shoot by. He's by scored Buffalo, and now TNR Horizon comes to the inside, scored Buffalo. As it comes to the top of the circuit, and scored Buffalo's been pushed off now. So scored Buffalo now falls into 4th position. This could be horrible. He's fallen to 5th as he falls behind ACR Snake. Snake drops 2 tires in the dirt. Now Buffalo's right behind. He needs to try and figure out a way past. And scored Buffalo. We thought that he would be having a great run today. We thought he could properly challenge for a win. But right now, he's not even challenging for a podium position. At the front, Lucky is now the driver on Sunshine's rear end. There's a big twitch there by ACR Snake. He has gone completely sideways going over the curbs, but he'll hold position. At the front, Lucky is in 2nd spot. He's coming to the outside of Mr. Sunshine. It is a drag race as they come down the 2nd back straightaway. Sunshine holds that better inside line, sweeps out wide as they come out of the final corner, the Parabolica, and now it's the run down to the start-finish line. Drag race, that Porsche has a good straight line speed, but that Bentley has a better straight line speed. There is no tuning in that Porsche, and it's definitely showing because he is definitely weaker compared to Lucky here. They're going to be side by side as they come into the first turn chicane. TNR Horizon runs right behind them. Lucky, Sunshine, side by side, contact. Sunshine gets into Lucky. He turns Lucky sideways, but Lucky accelerates out without problem. Now Horizon goes around the outside of Mr. Sunshine, and ACR Snake is coming up to the fray. And Lucky is going right where he is. In fact, Lucky might be even better than where he needs to be because scored Buffalo is back here in 5th position and struggling to make any positions. This could have some major championship implications for the title, and also could have some pretty significant implications when it comes to the points fight for 3rd as well. So somehow TNR Horizon is making his challenge that he signed up for stick at the moment. But ACR Snake, who has been a midfielder most of the season, is really impressive, punching way above his weight class right now, running in 4th position. So Sunshine, who has fallen to 3rd behind his rival TNR Horizon, Lucky leads. Not really threatened at the moment. Buffalo getting really aggressive on ACR Snake. Snake is so bad with that Bentley over the curves, but it doesn't matter because the moment they come out of a straight line, Snake just immediately pulls on Buffalo. Buffalo, we've been talking most of the season when we talk about the championship fight, we've been talking under the implication that Buffalo was going to by default finish 2nd behind Lucky this entire season. But right now, that does not look like it's a guarantee. He is having a massive struggle trying to make his way up through the grid. We have not seen scored Buffalo struggle like this since Suzuka, and even at Suzuka, he only fell to about 3rd at worst. The last time we saw Buffalo in a situation that wasn't mandated by green flag stops outside the podium positions would go all the way back to Sebring, because at Sebring he misqualified and had to start near the back of the field. And here he started on the pole and has fallen all the way to 5th and just can't do anything. So the field now starting to spread out just a bit. TNR Horizon has made this challenge work thus far. He is second at the moment. And while Mr. Sunshine has a decent straight line speed, I do not think it just does not look like it's enough to actually do anything to the top two. But a very interesting and chaotic start to this race. Lucky back to the front now. And already opening a gap on the rest of the field. All right, here comes this fight for fourth. ACR Snake actually fighting with Scored Buffalo here. Trying to make something of it. Again, Bentley has a straight line speed advantage. That BMW will have a cornering advantage. You can see right there through Ascari how much the difference is. And Buffalo is going to shoot by. Buffalo is by ACR Snake. Mr. Sunshine is trying to do something farther up with TNR Horizon, it looks like. He runs right in the tire tracks of the Bentley. Again, Sunshine's been the only Porsche driver this entire season. And for Horizon, this is really, really frustrating because I imagine that he anticipated that Sunshine running this stock tune would not be able to compete really, and he would be able to open up a massive gap on Sunshine over the course of the race and would lock up those 12 bonus points for staying in the podium position at the end of every lap from lap 2 to the end. That's not looking like it's happening right now. He is not pulling away from Sunshine. In fact, Sunshine seems more aggressive against TNR Horizon than we have seen him be against that TNR driver for the last 2, maybe even 3 races. And when challenge points are taken into effect, Sunshine in third, even though Horizon, if he somehow brings home these extra 12 points, Horizon would bring home about 192 points today, but Sunshine, just with that 50% multiplier by running that spec tune, would bring home way more than that, and now here comes Sunshine to the inside. Horizon cuts down, denies the Porsche the position, but the fight for second is incredibly active, and Lucky is scooting away right now. Lucky has won 5 straight races at this point in the season. He is trying to make it 6 in a row, and trying to further close up the championship fight. But right now, with Buffalo buried in 4th position, he would only earn 160 points, and Lucky would actually inherit the championship lead if everyone finishes where they are right now. Again, we are still early in the race, but right now, there is no implication to suggest that Lucky is under any threat, and Horizon and Sunshine are both looking incredibly, incredibly competent at the moment. ACR Snake, who has fallen all the way back to the 5th position, runs kind of solo, but look at this here. Prius Killer and the TireBarrier are in a fight. Now remember, TireBarrier, he's trying to move up as many positions of the points championship as possible. He's fighting with Snake, while Prius Killer is fighting with SRD Shredder for 5th in the championship. So keep an eye on this fight as well, because these two don't actively need to fight each other. Oh my goodness, and Tire's missed the chicane. Tire has missed the chicane. And GRM Jagged has withdrawn from the race as well, so now we're down to 11 drivers, but Jagged, having turned at least 1 lap in anger today, he is guaranteed to bring home a respectable chunk of points, and that will help in his ace forward in the title. So Prius is now stabilized in 6th. This fight for second continues though. Horizon continues to hold station over Mr. Sunshine, although it is starting to open up in Horizon's favor. And real quickly, we want to look at the tire life of these cars and the fuel numbers. It's anticipated that in today's race, fuel will have more of an impact than tire life. Horizon, 74%, so he's only gone through about a quarter of his tank. Mr. Sunshine, he has gone through way less tire, and he actually has more fuel. So this could end up being very problematic because Sunshine could outlast Horizon on fuel. If Horizon's required to pit here before Sunshine does, that would drop him to 3rd, maybe even 4th, and would kill his run at this challenge. Scored Buffalo, who is back here, we know that that BMW has some of the best fuel and tire life of everyone. So right now, very interesting scenario when it comes to these challenges, because our driver in second right now, while he's satisfying all the requirements at the moment, it looks like it's all going to fall apart when the green flag stops begin. Again, Horizon is opening the gap slowly on Sunshine, but I don't think it's happening at the rate that he needs it to. Oh, not a great run into turn 1 chicane for Horizon, but Sunshine's not really close enough to do anything with it. That Bentley has a great acceleration. So Buffalo now starting to close up on Mr. Sunshine. Now Buffalo got by Mr. Sunshine late in a 3-wide overtake at Bathurst at the season opener. He also snuck by Sunshine again at Sebring as well, although at that point Sunshine was a little bit farther down the grid. Beyond that, though, Scored Buffalo has not really had to fight. Oh, and there's a car sideways coming into Ascari back there. I think that may have been Prius Killer. ACR Snake, SRD Shredder, Prius Killer. So a bunch of drivers all on top of each other in a nasty way coming out of Ascari. And Shredder is going to go through into 5th, and something is wrong with Prius's car. We're not under yellow flag. Or are we? No, we're not under the yellow. But whatever has happened, this is going to up in this fight because Shredder has now gone up in the 5th. Snake's fallen to 6th. So Snake was caught by Prius Killer. The two got sideways with each other going into the Ascari curbs, and it put Shredder ahead. Now, ACR Snake is just ahead of Prius Killer, and TireBarrier is back there in 8th right now. So again, Prius needs to get by Snake to go up and challenge Shredder, and TireBarrier, who is in 8th, needs to Prius to either get by Snake or he needs to get by Prius himself so he can go and take the fight to Snake. So two different kinds of championship fights going on here at the moment. This fight's also starting to become alive here. Mr. Sunshine trying to keep Buffalo behind. Buffalo has such a massive advantage in the corners, you can see, but the moment they're onto the straights, that Porsche just starts opening the gap significantly. And again, Buffalo has the draft as well. That's the other thing. Buffalo has the draft to help neuter hit the disadvantage that car would have in a straight line, but it's just not enough. He is not hitting the challenge speed you need. Here comes a move. Sunshine on the inside. Buffalo on the outside. It's a drag race, and Buffalo actually has the nose of the car ahead, but as the longer they go down the straight, the advantage opens up more and more in Sunshine's favor. Now, Buffalo has tuning, so he can push the braking a little bit deeper on the exit. Big twitch by the BMW. He's got his car ahead, though. He is ahead coming out of Parabolica, the final corner. Now down the start-finish line straight, and Sunshine gets the advantage again. Superior straight line ability. He'll have the inside line coming into the chicane. Big lockup by both drivers, and they're both going to make it. And Buffalo accelerates out of the chicane way better, and Buffalo is by. So Sunshine now slips to 4th. Next driver he's going to have to do something against, though, is going to be TNR Horizon. And the good news for Horizon is that fighting between Sunshine and Scored Buffalo will make it a little bit easier for him to potentially pull off this challenge of his. The other thing is that Sunshine typically is a fan of pitting early. If he sticks with that early pit stop strategy, that will almost guarantee that Horizon can stay in the top 3 even after pit stops. All right, so here's the other thing to keep an eye on. Shredder is still 5th. ACR Snake is 6th. Prius is 7th. But this fight's not over yet. Snake took a little bit of time to really get warmed up and start properly contending. Now, I don't know if this is because he's finally nice and warm, or if the Bentleys are just way, way superior here today compared to most of the rest of the season. But either way, it is looking interesting in this fight for 6th. Snake really having troubles over the curbs, and he's into the dirt, and now Prius is by Snake. So Snake loses another position. Also, don't look now, but Sunshine's not done yet. This is the front straightaway where he has a good run. And he's got toe off of Scored Buffalo. If Buffalo misses the braking zone here, Sunshine could make a move. Heavy under braking. No, it's actually Sunshine who has the worst run going through the chicane. And Buffalo is able to just carry so much more speed through the corners. Even though that Porsche is able to open up a massive amount of speed in the straights, in the corners, it just doesn't matter. Well, Buffalo is now starting to get back into the position we figured he would be. At one point, he was as far down as 5th, but he has recovered into 3rd position. But still, Buffalo would like to take home 2nd, if not an outright win here, so he could try to secure his championship fight. Because today, if he finishes 3rd and Lucky wins, he would lose 30 points of his 39-point cushion. He needs to minimize that as much as he can. It is imperative for Buffalo to make it up into 2nd. Yeah, and at this point, Sunshine is just completely dropping pace compared to everyone else. Horizon is blitzing away at the moment. But Buffalo is, I'm going to go ahead and say this. I think this is going to be a controversial thing to say. I think Buffalo is faster over the course of a lap. But the thing is, though, that being faster over a lap means nothing because, at least here at Monza, and we'll see it to a lesser extent next week at Spa as well, you can kind of divide a circuit like Monza into high-speed and low-speed sections. Your high-speed sections, obviously, are straight. Your low-speed sections are your corners. What's giving the BMW the advantage is that he's not as fast in a straight line at the high-speed parts of the track, but in the corners, his lower speed is better than everyone else's lower speed. So in terms of lap time, the best way to go faster overall in lap time, it just comes down to making your slowest speeds on the track less slow. But in an actual fight on track with another car, that inverts. With a handful of exceptions, the best way to get by somebody on track is to just outrun them in a straight line. So, mano y mano, Scored Buffalo, I think, is probably the worst of our top 4 drivers. But when it comes to overall lap time, I think Scored Buffalo might be the best. He did win the pole. Now, no points are given for pole position unless you snap for a challenge, and Buffalo's already done that challenge. But yeah, Buffalo is absolutely chewing away at the gap that Horizon has over him right now. So Snake and TireBarrier are just not able to fight with each other at all. And most of the fights further back in the grid are kind of falling away. But this is a little bit interesting to watch here. For 5th position, Prius and Shredder, these two are fighting for 5th in the championship. Shredder has a significant upper hand, but that could fade away here. Again, last week, Shredder ran in 5th almost until the last about 5 laps when finally Prius caught him and got by him. Again, last week, Prius was involved in an incident early, did fall technically to last place for a moment, but charged back and without yellow flags was able to take 5th position back. He didn't fall nearly as far back this time, but he is looking to repeat that right now. I think that Prius is most definitely faster than Shredder. Now, I'm curious to see if he could get by the BMW. We know that Shredder likes to run his cars more focused for straight line speed. Big slide for Prius out of the chicane there. And Snake is back there in 7th. He is only 2.2 seconds ahead of TireBarrier at the moment. Alright, meanwhile this fight for 2nd is about to kick off here. Scored Buffalo runs behind TNR Horizon here. I'm not sure if Buffalo is going to be able to run down our race leader. And actually, despite everything, it says that Lucky, with a 146, has set the best lap thus far. Best laps for the field overall, well, the most recent laps overall. I'm curious to see what Buffalo's has been. So Buffalo's in the 47.6s and Lucky's in the 47.1s. But Buffalo's also been spending a lot more time dealing with aero wash in the corners. But that gap that Lucky has right now over Horizon is 5.6 seconds. So Buffalo would have to put in some Herculean drives or hope that Lucky has a mistake in order to actually catch Lucky here. Right now, this gap per second is stable, 1 second roughly. It's more at the top of the circuit that we think that Buffalo will close the most. It's down to 0.7 already. So yeah, Buffalo is there. Buffalo is most definitely whittling this gap down to Horizon. So through the Variante chicane, or the second Variante chicane as it would be called, and the Lesmos corners, that is where Buffalo gains the majority of his time. And then he also gains a little bit through Ascari whenever he's not having a big bobble like that. He's already down to 6/10. Both Horizon and Buffalo had a bit of a hiccup there going through the Ascari chicane. Now they come down to Parabolica. Horizon taking a wider line, bit of a twitch. That car really seems to want to switch sides, while Buffalo seems to be way smoother through these corners. So this fight is on. Horizon, he can afford to lose this position. He just needs Sunshine to be completely out of contention. But if Sunshine stays out on track, if he inverts his normal pit strat, Horizon's chance may be in trouble. The other problem for Horizon, though, is that Shredder and Prius Killer and Snake may all still be close enough to make something of against Horizon. And if Horizon, again, drops lower than third at the end of the start-finish line, I verified with the series host, SRD Shredder, how that challenge worked. It's calculated based on where your car is at the line, the start-finish line, at the end of each lap. So Horizon barely made it through the first 2 laps. He's holding steady now, but he's got 3 drivers, maybe 4, that he does have to worry about here. Prius is within half a second of Shredder. At the same time, Buffalo is within 4/10 of Horizon. As they go through Ascari here. Lucky was in the 47s, but Buffalo is now in the 46s. So yes, Buffalo is faster than Lucky, but it's by 2/10 under ideal circumstances. 2/10 is not going to be enough to close down the gap between first and second. Buffalo needs Lucky to have some sort of hiccup, some sort of mistake here. But first, he needs to get by Horizon. Horizon on the outside. Buffalo just kind of staying behind. It is a 3/10 second gap, but now they come to the first chicane. And Buffalo gets into Horizon under braking. Just enough to kind of push both their cars sideways. And Horizon accelerates out, and he'll use the speed to his advantage. But now they're coming through the sections of the circuit where Buffalo is better. Through the second chicane and then Lesmos. The straights here are not long enough to really open up and beat the gain that the BMW will have in the corners. You can still see Sunshine back there in fourth, but he just does not have what it takes to keep up. It's still 3/10. Buffalo has a way better run out of the second Lesmos, though. Right there behind Horizon. He's got the draft, and that will negate the amount that Horizon will pull on him in the straight line, but only a bit. Into the Ascari chicane once more. Horizon and Buffalo both big sideways over the inside curbs, entering Ascari. Neither of them have any significant advantage, but Horizon will start pulling away here again on the second back straightaway. And all the while, the gap between first and second is 6 seconds right now. And the longer that Buffalo is kept tucked up behind Horizon, the worse and worse it's going to be for him. Horizon kind of dancing as they come out of Parabolica, now flying down the front straight again. It's down to 2 tenths, maybe 3 tenths at the moment. And again, there's still this fight here for 5th and 6th that we're going to try and keep an eye on as well. Horizon definitely weaker than Buffalo under braking through that chicane. Here's this fight for 5th. Shredder inside. Prius looking to the outside. They'll be side by side in the corner. Shredder locks up. Prius actually breaks incredibly early. Shredder denies Prius the ideal run out of the corner, but spins his own tires in the process. Prius is going to go to the outside of Shredder as they go through this big sweeping corner. Prius has the run. He is there. He is looking. Prius will have the inside coming into the second chicane. Shredder tries sending it in, but he really upsets himself. That car is all sorts of sideways. Prius has another run now into the Lesmos for 5th position. Prius muscles his way by Shredder. He is by the BMW driver. And through Lesmos, Prius completes the overtake, but Shredder staying in his tire tracks. It's just 3 tenths. Oh, Prius missed the corner, and Shredder may have taken a little bit too much curb, but Shredder's ending up better off here as they come now out of Ascari. Prius still holds the position, but just barely over Shredder. And we may have had a driver that may have another issue. I think ACR Snake had another issue there. But he is well ahead of TireBarrier. I don't think he has to worry about that. Meanwhile, this fight for second continues. But at the moment, it looks like Horizon is able to hold Buffalo behind. And not only that, not only is Horizon keeping Buffalo behind, Horizon is actually closing down on Lucky. So Horizon is legitimately faster than Lucky at the moment. And Buffalo is faster than both of them. We could see a fight here for a position. Mr. Sunshine has made his stop. He has made his stop incredibly early. So for Horizon, who is in this fight for second, he needs to be way, way ahead of your 4th and 5th place drivers. Well, Snake is way off, so it's just... And Horizon's gone around! Horizon's gone around! And Buffalo is through! Horizon has gone around! This could be horrible news for Horizon, because Horizon needs to stay in the top 3. He's going to lose a huge chunk of time. SRD Shredder is now there in 4th. Shredder is closing the gap down to about 8.1 seconds. So Horizon needs to stay out on track as long as possible and hope that when everything's done, he doesn't drop behind the likes of Mr. Sunshine. And mind you, Horizon was faster than your leader while holding up Buffalo. Buffalo does not have to worry about anything but himself. He can just attack the circuit. Now, he was caught up. He is now more than 6 seconds behind Lucky again. But there is a possibility we could see Scored run down Lucky here before this is over. I'm not saying it will happen, but it's definitely a possibility to keep an eye on. Okay, here's something else of note. TFB Matter fighting with NFL racers. This would be Matter's best finish in a race this entire season. Absolutely incredible performance, it would appear, from him today. Data Prime is back there in 9th. Mr. Sunshine is 10th. Prius Killer is 11th. So Pinnings just completely destroys you on track. I don't think there's any way that TNR Horizon is going to stay top 3. Matter to the outside of NFL Racer. It is a drag race down the second back straightaway, and Matter will easily outbreak him, and he'll complete the overtake. An NFL Racer who was really strong in the early and mid parts of the season has kind of fallen off in performance recently here, and Matter actually is going to get by him. Other wild thing, though, is that Mr. Sunshine is currently trying to run down Dino Prime. He's going to need to get by that Chevrolet driver as fast as possible. Lucky is now actually 7 seconds ahead of Scored Buffalo. So Buffalo, something is going wrong. He was faster while fighting another car than he is solo, and Lucky is starting to open the gap. So a very chaotic first about 3-4 laps of this race has now settled in. We're back to seeing what we're used to. But we don't know how it's going to turn out in this fight between Horizon and Mr. Sunshine. Horizon, involved in a spin, lost a good chunk of time in the process. But Sunshine is going to be dealing with traffic here. Already, he has pretty much caught Dino Prime in a straight line here. And Sunshine is running no tunes on his car. He has a great straight line speed advantage, but not so confident in that portion of the curves. Big sideways moment out of Ascari for Dino, and now here comes Sunshine to the inside. Setup in that Chevrolet just does not seem to be very good. Sunshine is faster in the corners, faster in the straights. There's just nothing that this Chevy driver can do. He's going to take a wider line and is actually just going to go ahead and let the Porsche by. He knows that the Porsche is not really in a fight with him. He can't really do anything fine with him, so he'll let Sunshine pass. Shredder is back there in fourth. 9 seconds, nearly 10 seconds out from TNR Horizon. He is not keeping pace with Horizon, but he doesn't really have to because Shredder is right now, we anticipate he is beating Prius Killer in their fight. Prius is last of everyone on track, but Prius has already made his stop. TFB Matter and NFL Racer are continuing their own little spat. But for the moment, it does seem like Matter, he's way faster in the corners, but makes more mistakes. I think Matter, if he can just minimize mistakes, he will be able to get back by NFL Racer here. We are almost halfway through this event here. Our top 3 drivers have not made their stops yet. And again, we're all wondering about TNR Horizon. Oh my goodness, NFL Racer, horrible run coming into Ascari. Matter's not doing very good either, but oh, Racer has gone into the dirt and Matter's by. That was not what I anticipated to see happen. Real quickly, I want to go ahead and run through the field. When does it look like they'll pit, if at all? Buffalo has closed the gap back down to 6.4 seconds, but with half this race left to go, I think the Chinese Bulls have turned. I don't think Scored's going to be able to catch Lucky here. 54% tire wear, but more importantly for Lucky, fuel. He only has about 20% left, so he has gone through 80% of his fuel in almost 20 laps here. So you're going through about 4% a lap, roughly. Lucky's not going to be able to stay out for a whole lot longer, but yeah, no issue. He'll definitely make it a single-stop race. Buffalo, who is running in second right now, better off on tires, but worse on fuel. That's not normal. Well, it's been more tires focused than fuel focused, but Buffalo is actually burning through more fuel than Lucky at the moment. Then TNR Horizon, who runs about 3 seconds behind Buffalo. 15% fuel. He is way worse on fuel and tires than both of the drivers ahead. Shredder, who is now 10 seconds out from third, he's in a similar position that TNR Horizon is at. ACR Snake, who is about another 10 seconds behind Shredder, he is closer to our leader when it comes to fuel and tires. But Snake's had a lot of issues. But he is currently ahead of Mr. Sunshine, who is another 7 seconds back. Sorry, not Mr. Sunshine, TireBarrier, who's another 7 seconds back. And Tire is good on fuel, good on tires. I think he can probably go longer than everybody else, but I'm not sure there would be much advantage or benefit in him doing so. He is kind of in no man's land at the moment. And Mr. Sunshine has actually made his way past just about... Oh, I'm sorry, never mind. I keep having mistakes. Sunshine has still not gotten by this Matter and NFL Racer fight yet. And if he catches him, that could really end up wreaking havoc for him. Sunshine needs this duo ahead to pit before he does. NFL will pit before he catches him. NFL Racer is at 14% right now. Matter, who is just a little bit ahead of him. Matter has just gone into the dirt in the straight line. Something is wrong with Matter. What in the devil happened there? I don't know, but Matter just went off circuit in a straight line into the outside wall and lost a huge chunk of time, and now NFL Racer is back. I have no idea what happened to cause that, but now this fight for 7th is active again. And that's great news for NFL Racer, but that's horrible news for Sunshine, because Sunshine's closing in on this battle pretty quickly, and he needs to sneak by this duo as efficiently and as fast as possible here. NFL Racer runs right behind Matter. He's got a good line. He seems to be better than that Bentley here in Lesmos. Sorry, not Bentley, the Aston in Lesmos. But now on the straightaway, Matter will start opening the gap up. Still watching our top 3. Are any of them going to make their stop? None of them stop yet. Matter all sideways coming in to the Ascari chicane. NFL Racer sideways also, but has a little bit more control. But Matter, once he gets onto the straight, puts the power down and starts accelerating once again. Racer has grip. What is going on? There is something that's slowing Matter down. Is he damaged? There's no damage on that car, but for whatever reason, things have changed. And now NFL Racer is running Matter down in a straight line. He's going to be on the outside. Something is going unbearably wrong here for that Aston. But Matter doesn't have to worry about it for a moment because his rival, NFL Racer, will pit. This will drop him to last place. Our top 3 have stabilized. The gap is not shrinking or growing amongst them. The big question is really just this man here, TNR Horizon. What can he do? Because he needs to somehow outlast Shredder on fuel. Make it just a lap farther. TNR Horizon is at 7% fuel left in the tank. SRD Shredder, who is about 12 seconds behind now, is at 8%. So Shredder is still better off on fuel, but is it by enough to actually leapfrog Horizon for even a lap? And 5th place, ACR Snake. Where is he on fuel? 12%. That may be who Horizon's real issue might be with. As they come out of the final corner again, Horizon stays out on track one more lap. Shredder continues to lose time to Horizon here. And Shredder is stopping. Yes, Shredder is going to pit early. So Snake is going to leapfrog Shredder, and the fight's going to be between TNR Horizon and ACR Snake. But as far as I can tell, Horizon is in position to get those 12 bonus points here. As Snake now begins his run down into pit lane. So Snake is pit as well, and TireBarrier is so far back it won't matter. So yes, TNR Horizon is going to take these 12 bonus points. Everything I saw suggested that he was in the top 3 at the end of lap 2, and at the line at every lap, he was in the top 3. So Horizon should be able to take those 12 bonus points. The question is going to be, Mr. Sunshine, who is getting that 50% bonus for not doing any tuning to his car, where is he going to turn up? Because it may be a case where Sunshine takes home more points than Horizon does. Other question is going to be Shredder versus Prius. Shredder is in 5th and Prius... Well, no, I'm sorry. Sunshine is in 5th right now. Prius is 6th and Shredder is 7th. So Prius has actually ended up ahead of SRD Shredder when it's all said and done with. Shredder has the advantage over Prius by a decent chunk of change. but Shredder and Prius have both been really inconsistent. They've shown up to a majority of the races. Shredder has actually been there for every race, but between them, both of them have had some absolutely atrocious runs. They're not in a position that our top 4 drivers on the track currently are, where they can reliably assume that they will be able to make it without issue. Okay, so Buffalo and Horizon are pitting, same time. Lucky continues to stay out. He has been staying out for a long period here, but he has no reason to worry. As long as there's no yellow flag, and the field is so spread out, I think yellow flags are basically not happening. As long as there's no yellow flag, Lucky is basically flying high without any issue. But yeah, outside of our top... Oh, this could be interesting. TireBarrier is coming down the front straightaway. Is he going to end up ahead of TNR Horizon at the line? Horizon's still in third at the line, but TireBarrier is flying. He's by Horizon, but it was after the start-finish line. So this fight for the challenge is not over yet. Tire is still ahead of scored Buffalo as well. He's not made a stop. In fact, Tire could stay out for another lap. It could be TireBarrier who ends up putting a real wild card wrench into this and killing TNR Horizon's chance at taking home those 12 points. I thought that TireBarrier was not close enough to factor into this, but I was wrong. He is in position. He is several seconds ahead. And not only that, he has enough fuel to go for another lap or two if he so chooses. This could be it. This could be what kills those 12 bonus points for Horizon. And that would basically further secure Sunshine's grip on third. Buffalo is going to run down TireBarrier without too much issue, I imagine. But he may be held up. And your leader, Lucky, is now in the pits. But with a 40-second lead as he came in, we know that these drivers are not really going to be able to do anything about it. Scored's only now coming through a scar, and he's going to be held up by TireBarrier. So unless TireBarrier pits this lap, TNR Horizon will be out of that fight. Here comes Buffalo. He's got a big run on this Lamborghini. Yeah, Tire's not going to make this easy here. Buffalo has the inside coming out of Parabolica. It's a drag race, but that Lamborghini is just faster. And yes, this will affirm it. TNR Horizon will not get those 12 points. That fight is over. That's great news for Mr. Sunshine, horrible news for TNR Horizon. Lucky, 7 seconds ahead of this fight, so this battle is just going to put Scored Buffalo in a position where there's no way he's able to close in on our leader. As long as Lucky doesn't have a self-inflicted mistake, it is over. For Buffalo, he will not win this race. Lucky is going to go 6 races in a row with victories and will close the championship gap down to 19 points with 1 race left. Oh, TireBarrier misses the braking zone altogether. So this will drop him behind Buffalo. So at this moment, TFB Matter has fallen behind his rival, NFL Racer, on track. So that fight seems to be over. Matter putting up a great fight early on, but I'm guessing accumulation of mistakes has dropped him way outside of range of NFL Racer. So as long as Racer doesn't have any issues, he will come home 9th. Racer in a position to maybe take home 7th in the points, but he needs to bring home a good chunk of change if he wants to actually run down the likes of Lud1cr0us Sp33d and MabeyRacing. He's right now, as Tyre's finally made his stop and is going to drop down the order. But right now, NFL Racer is in 9th. That's not what he needed. He needed to have a good, stronger run to really chomp away at the points fight for 7th. If Lud1cr0us or Mabey were here, I guarantee you they'd be way higher up the order. So that looks like it will be a fight that will go down in the last race. Lud1cr0us not anticipated to show up in the last race of the season. Maybe it's out in the air, but there's a possibility that maybe or Lud1cr0us may hold on to 7th and 8th if NFL Racer just continues to have these poor performances. So in this fight between TNR Horizon and Sunshine, despite the spin, Horizon is still going to come home third without issue. The issue is for Sunshine is going to be Prius Killer, who's coming up behind. We know that Horizon's not going to take those 12 points. But Sunshine really wants to maximize his points haul, so if something crazy happens next week at Spa, a lot of drivers have earmarked Spa as a wild card. So if something happens, Sunshine wants to take home as big of an advantage as possible, but Prius is not making it easy here. The other thing is that Prius, if he can get by Sunshine here, take home 4th, that would help him close down on Shredder with 1 race left. Again, Prius fighting for 5th in overall points, Sunshine fighting for 3rd. The gap right now, 1.6 seconds. We still have about 14, 15 laps left. We're kind of in the stage of the race now where everyone's basically where they are going to be on pace, with maybe 1 or 2 exceptions. Sunshine, incredibly strong the first few laps of this race. That Porsche is great at battling, great at fighting, but it just does not have the cornering speed to really draw out a fight for a long time. It's an amazing attack car, but when it comes to defense, it just can't really do anything. And overall, over the course of the lap, Prius just does not have what it takes to hold station for any significant period of time. ACR Snake, who is up in the top 3 positions, or fighting for top 3 positions, has stabilized in 7th right now, and most of the field is all running by themselves on the circuit. Again, this is the second to last race of the season next week. The last race of the season will be at Spa-Francorchamps. The gap here is down to 8/10 at the moment. As they go through Ascari, Sunshine peels out of the Ascari chicane, starts actually opening the gap just a bit, and continues to accelerate away from Prius as the straight goes on. So whatever setup Prius has on this car, against Sunshine, he is stronger in the corners than Sunshine, and Sunshine is stronger in the straights. Neither driver had a really good run into the first chicane that time. Prius closes, but then under acceleration, Sunshine immediately starts pulling away. Prius is close enough to have a little bit of a toe, though. And TFB Matter has dropped out as well. So Dino Prime is going to come home 10th, and Matter will miss out on a top 10 finish again. Here comes the move. Drag race down the first of the 2 back straightaway. Sunshine inside, Prius outside, under heavy braking. Prius is all sideways, but he is by. Oh, yes, he is by, and Sunshine runs right behind. Sunshine has a straight line speed advantage and the toe from Prius, so Sunshine could try and dive coming into Parabolica here. He looks to the inside, thinks better of it. He'll fall in line behind Prius. Sunshine's got to run. Boy, is he closing with speed, but it's not going to be enough, I think. Under heavy braking, Sunshine peeks inside, but will not commit to a move. Prius, now unobstructed through the turn 1 chicane, will open up the gap. Yes, through those two corners. A little double it from 0.3 to 0.6, now 0.7 seconds. And while Sunshine can close it down here, I think this is over. Prius fighting for a top 4 position. It looks like he's going to get it, and we'll use that to close down on SRD Shredder. In other news, Horizon is starting to close in on Buffalo for second. And Shredder trying to run down Sunshine. He is 3.2 seconds behind him at the moment. And that's it. There are no other battles on the circuit. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and ride silently for a lap on board with our race leader, LuckyVII, see what flying lap is like here around Monza. All right, so that's a flying lap on board with Lucky, who had to fight pretty hard in the early laps of this race, but once he was ahead, he kind of pissed off for a while. And again, Lucky was involved in the lap 1 incident. He was completely sideways, as was Prius Killer. But Lucky has overcome that, charged right up to the lead, and there is no reason to believe he is going to be under any threat to the end of this race. Buffalo has closed down to 5.9 seconds behind Lucky, but it's just not been consistent at all. That gap seems to be stable between 5.5 to 7 seconds. So unless Lucky has a mistake that's self-inflicted, this will go to him, and the championship fight will go down to the last race of the season. And again, what I will do is I will run down the championship clinch scenarios for Lucky and Buffalo going into the final race, assuming that they finish where they are right now. So basically, Lucky needs to close by 20 points on Buffalo in the final race, assuming that these two finish where they are now. Technically, he needs to close by 19 points, but closing by 19 points is honestly going to be really difficult because the increments in points awarded are in increments of 5. So realistically, Lucky needs to close by 20 points. If we end up in a scenario where Lucky wins next week, it's over. It's his championship by default. If Buffalo wins, it's his championship by default. If Buffalo finishes third, Lucky still needs to win. If Buffalo finishes fourth, however, Lucky can come home second. If Lucky finishes third, Buffalo can come home fifth and will still lose the championship, but he can come home fourth and win it. And realistically, I'm not going to look outside of the top 5 because I don't see any scenario where Lucky and Buffalo don't finish in the top 5 positions unless one of them drop out. With how smaller fields have been getting recently, about 12 cars last week, 12 cars today, if we have a scenario where Lucky drops out of the final race of the season, it's over. But if Buffalo drops out and only finishes 12th, Lucky can come home in 8th position and would win the championship. But again, I don't anticipate that's going to happen. Neither of those drivers have had issue making their cars stay around, of course, across the course of an entire race. Buffalo did not finish the 4th race at Road America, but that was because of real-life duties. Then again, there are the challenge points, and challenge points can really upend a lot. Again, there's 12 points on offer for drivers who stay in the top 12 all season long, and neither Lucky or Buffalo have gone for those 12 points. There are also a 50% multiplier on offer if you go ahead and run stock tuning. And right now, Sunshine, who is in 5th, is in position to bring home a massive chunk of change if he pulls that off. And real quickly, I just want to look at Sunshine, because that's the other thing. We could see a scenario where Lucky could come home 5th and maybe still make something happen to win the title against Buffalo if Buffalo wins the last race of the season. Sunshine is 5th, and Shredder is starting to close the gap down here. 1.9 seconds. So this is not done yet. We may have this last fight still to go. NFL Racer and TireBarrier have actually caught each other on the circuit. So again, Tire stayed out for a long time, and Tire is in a fight with ACR Snake, who is in 7th at the moment, but Snake is 30 seconds up the road from this duo. So more than likely, Tire is going to fall behind Snake in their little rush up the points late in the season here. I'm trying to think back. When was the last time a driver led laps who wasn't lucky or scored, and they led laps on merit and not off the back of other green flag stops? And I honestly think the only other driver to have done it is Sunshine, along with Arsenal. And I think Arsenal was the other person. But yeah, I think Sunshine leading laps early here today has been the first time since the season opener at Bathurst where we have had somebody leading laps that wasn't Buffalo or scored under a scenario that wasn't green flag stop related. NFL Racer a little bit sideways. TireBarrier really putting pressure on him right now. Again, NFL Racer, he's 8th. I guarantee you he wants to be way higher than that, but it just seems like that BMW does not have what it takes today. The BMWs as a whole seem to be very competent, not the greatest in fights, but they seem to be very competent cars today. It's just NFL Racer is not performing in the slightest. So there are 2 fights forming here. This fight for 8th and then also a fight for 5th. Drag race down the back straightaway, and NFL Racer kind of carries a little bit more speed in. TireBarrier is just a lot more careful under brakes here. Real quickly, as we look up to the Lesmos corners, Shredder runs about 8/10 behind Sunshine. And we will keep an eye on that, but this fight is the most active one. TireBarrier looking to the inside of NFL Racer. Racer takes a wide line that cuts right in front of Tire. Kind of kills the Lamborghini's momentum going into the chicane. And he'll actually open the gap back up to about 0.5, and then immediately the Lamborghini starts closing it down. Oh, that BMW is super sideways. And while that BMW had a good job putting power down out of Ascari, TireBarrier is coming. He is right behind, gets right into and actually pushes the BMW wide, kind of neutering both of their speed there through Parabolica. Here it comes. Once again, Tire looks to the inside. This time he will not follow in line. He'll just stay. He'll not follow up with it. He'll stay in line behind NFL Racer. And the BMW all sideways, smoking the tires out of the corner. The gap's only 0.3 right now. Tire could try and outrun the BMW into the second chicane. Is he going to look inside? Is he going to look outside? Is he going to look at all? No, he'll actually back out early. Through these corners, the Lesmos at the top of the circuit. The BMW should be better, but that's just not happening. Without a doubt, Tire is faster, but Tire is being incredibly cautious and careful, trying to fight the BMW. The BMW drops tires in the dirt. Tire's going to have a massive run down the back straightaway here. Contact 2-3 times. NFL Racer blocking, trying to deny Tire the run, but he's ahead. He's got the nose ahead as they go heavy into the braking. NFL Racer runs over the curbs. Tire runs over the curbs. They're both all sorts of sideways as they come out of the corner. Tire ends up in the dirt. NFL Racer will massively open up the gap now. And that fight now falls apart. 2.2 seconds is the gap now. Meanwhile, in the fight for fifth as formed, Sunshine trying to keep Shredder behind him. The Porsche, not very good in the corners, but good in the straights. Shredder's BMW is better in the corners, but he is also in a car that is more set up for straight line speed. Shredder came home 6th last week. He'd love to better that today, if at all possible. But it does not look like he has what it takes to get alongside the Porsche at the moment. He has caught him, but cannot do anything to him. Again, Sunshine could be on track to bring home more points than anyone else in a season, in a single race of the season. He would bring home 225 points, the most points the driver has brought home thus far this season was Buffalo. He brought home 220 points, and Sunshine is en route to bring home 225 points here. Buffalo has closed the gap on Lucky down to 5.1 seconds. That's the closest it's been since the end of lap 10, but there's only 4 laps left. 5 laps left, technically, sorry. So Lucky would have to bleed a little bit more than a second to lap for Buffalo just to catch him, let alone pass him. Ooh, the BMW gets right into Sunshine and pushes him into the corner, pushes him wide, but the BMW does not have the stability to capitalize going through Ascari. Sunshine is slow coming out of Ascari, and Shredder starts closing the gap down. Gets right behind him again. Shredder is so much better under braking, it's unreal. Porsche opens up the gap against the BMW in the straight, so they're likely not going to be side by side coming into turn 1 this time. Prius in the rearview mirror can see this duo fight. He's so happy because the longer these two fight, the better off he's going to be trying to run down Shredder for 5th in the Drivers' Championship. Shredder drops tires in the dirt, and that's really going to hurt him that time. That fight between TireBarrier and NFL Racer might just kick into play again here. I'm keeping an eye on it with the map, but I don't think it's going to happen. I think this here is going to be the fight to the end, the only real fight left for position here. Another thing to note, that Sunshine did pit early, so we know that his tires are going to be wearing through, but this has been a race that has been fuel limited, not tire limited, so we're not expecting any sort of extreme tire failures here. Buffalo's closed the gap down to 4.2 seconds, so Buffalo's absolutely come to life these last few laps, but it's just so late he can't do anything about it. It's 3 laps to go right now. Shredder eked out over the TireBarrier earlier this season at Catalunya. At the start-finish line, barely got the spot. Probably the most impressive finish we've had this season that wasn't at Bathurst. Granted, that was for 8th and 9th position. No, 9th and 10th position, but yeah. We've not seen anything else quite like that, but Shredder could be trying to set up for another one. Bad run over the curbs that time. He cut it way too aggressively and really cut the car sideways, but despite that, he is still right behind the Porsche as they go through the Lesmos at the top of the circuit. In the draft, Sunshine's not really pulling on Shredder until the very end of the straight. This time there won't be contact. They both are kind of sideways going in through Ascari though. I have no doubt in my mind that Shredder is better, but he needs to figure out a way to get alongside Sunshine, and I just see no way that can happen. There'll be 2 more circuits for this duo when they get to the line. And like I said, I have no doubt in my mind that Shredder is faster than Sunshine. But Sunshine beats Shredder in all the parts of the track where that BMW could fight him. It's not by much, but it's by enough that they have not even gotten side by side at any point. So this fight's turned back up, though. TireBarrier has caught NFL Racer once again. He's only going to have this final corner and then one more lap to make it happen. No, I'm sorry. We'll have 2 more laps, to be exact. Gap at the front's down to 4.6 seconds. But again, too little, too late for Buffalo to do anything with it. This fight for 5th, though, continues. Down the straight, Shredder's finally got to move up the inside. He dives into the final chicane, locks up the brakes. Sunshine's trying to cross over on the outside. He'll accelerate out. He's got the position back. Shredder was better into the chicane, but Sunshine was better out of it. This is their last lap, mind you. So Shredder is getting desperate. Again, Shredder better through the chicane, but Sunshine has the acceleration advantage out of the corner. Through the Lesmos. And then look at this one here as well. They'll have only one more lap to do it. NFL Racer outside. Tire's got to run to the inside. Drag race for 8th position. And Tire's going to sneak ahead. Just barely, but he'll get it. NFL Racer will cross back over. Tire hip chucks NFL Racer. Acceleration battle out. NFL Racer on the inside. Tire on the outside. NFL Racer's ahead. And Lucky will cross the line. Take home the victory here. But what about this? Shredder, Shredder, Sunshine, last lap. Shredder's looking at the outside. That's not going to work, I don't think. As they come out of the final corner, no, Sunshine will come home 5th and Shredder will have to settle for 6th. But this fight for 8th is not over. This is going to go down to quite literally the start-finish line, I imagine. Tire is faster than the BMW. The Lamborghini is barreling down on the straightaway. This is the second to last straight. NFL Racer blocking all over. He'll hold the inside line, force Tire to take the outside. Last time they did this, they both ended up sideways with Tire way worse for it. Will they repeat it? Oh, they're sure on track to repeat it. They're side by side through the chicane. NFL Racer goes over the curves. He'll lose the position. Tire sneaks by. With just one corner left, as long as the Lamborghini driver doesn't throw it away, Tire will at least take home 8th. And out of the final corner, Tire will come home 8th, NFL Racer will come home 9th, and Donald Prime will run out the field in 10th. But LuckyVII, that is the most important story because he has won 6 straight races. And the championship fight is on for the last race of the season. All right, and coming into the party right now will be our race winners. And I want to start with our race winner, LuckyVII. Lucky, please go ahead, include your audio. Fantastic. 6 victories in the row. That's incredible stuff. And even better, you will take this championship fight down to the last race at Spa. All of this after being involved in a wreck in lap 1, turn 1. Include your audio, Lucky. What do you have to say about your run out there?
It was a crazy start, but I was fortunate to not wreck as bad as it could have been. So I was able to kind of keep up with the front 4 after that, and luckily it was things shuffled out the way they did, and I was able to get in front and just pull away and sit on it.
Yeah, sit on it indeed. Lucky, just incredible performance. You did lose a lot of time in those last few laps, though. I have to ask, what caused your lead to drop from nearly 7 seconds to only about 3.5 there at the end?
I stopped pushing.
Okay, fair enough.
Slow down and try not to make as many, limit my mistakes instead of trying to push for the best lap I can and possibly hit the dirt or something. So I just turned it down a little bit just to keep it in the off the dirt.
All right, 1 race left. Spa. You were feeling kind of iffy about Monza. You won here. What about Spa? What do you think of your chances to steal the championship?
I don't know. We're going to have to see how it turns out. I know personally I like Spa, and I know I have good pace at Spa. So we'll see.
All right, congratulations. 6 victories in a row. And now I want to talk with our second place finisher, Scored Buffalo. Buffalo, from the outside, it looks like this is just another typical race in the series where you lock up a top 2 finish. But that race was anything but. At one point, you were as far back as 5th. But you somehow recovered, came back to 2nd, and you still hold the championship lead coming into the last race of the season. Walk us through that race from your perspective, Buffalo, because that was batshit wonkers.
The start was kind of wild. I kind of expected it to. Everybody was just going to be trying to make moves, and people were. I mean, I wasn't really counting on making T1 anyway. So that happened, and after a while, I'm like lap 2 or 3. I don't remember. It started to kind of calm down a little bit. Lucky and Horizon were fighting, so I was just trying to catch Sunshine. And then at the second chicane, just like the smallest bit of my tire touched the gravel and slowed me down massively. And both Lucky and Horizon ran up on me, and that messed. Anyway, then I was behind Snake for a little bit. The main thing was essentially everyone in front of me is that they have the better straight lines generally. So it was really hard to try to make that work. But I somehow pulled it off, so I'll take it. I wish I was able to fight with Lucky for the win, but it is what it is.
All right. Well, either way, mate, incredible performance out there. Another second place finish, but 1 race left. It's Spa-Francorchamps next week. A lot of drivers are circling now on the calendar as the wild card race. What do you think of your ability to hold onto this championship lead and win the title?
I think it'll be better there than here. So I think the M6 will perform a lot better at Spa, and I'm really looking forward to it.
All right. Any chance that you end up taking up any of the challenges to try and open up your points lead in the last race?
Might be. I think there's really only like 1 or 2 I could probably do realistically. But other than that, yeah.
All right, so we'll be looking forward to you then to take challenges in next week's event. Buffalo, interesting season to say the least, and you still have the title lead with 1 race to go. We'll definitely keep an eye on you. I want to talk with our third place finisher now, TNR Horizon. Horizon, go ahead, include your audio. Interesting day. You showed up in a chat with a challenge that you had to stay in the top 3 positions at the end of every lap from lap 2 on. And you honestly held on. By technicalities, you were holding on to that fight way deep into the race until about 12 laps to go. What do you have to say about your run today?
I mean, it was a good run. I mean, it's Monza. It's always going to be crazy. You know, very punchy race. It's not a very wide track. It's a very high-speed track, so everybody's, you know, high-speed, slow corner, so everybody's diving it in on each other. You know, if you make one simple mistake, somebody's going to be right up your ass, trying to get by you any way they can. So, I mean, with this race in Spa coming, I figured just might as well throw all the challenges in there because, you know, they're there, I guess. I don't really think the challenge system is the most fun for everybody because there's a lot of them geared towards like the top 3, and if you're not in that top 3, like pace wise, some of them just aren't even, you know, doable. So just to be in that position to do them, yeah, I didn't, you know, get to do any of them. It was still nice to be in that position. You know, it added an extra fun to my race and what probably would have been more of a boring race past like lap 3.
All right. The good news, you take home another podium on the season. The bad news is that due to him running his own challenges, Sunshine will open up his lead on you for 3rd in the title. Do you think there's any way you get by him next week? Because that gap's opened massively now.
Yeah, I mean, I'll have to see what the pace is like with the 50% stock tune or whatever it is. I don't really know what the fuck it's called, but I'll have to see what the pace is with the S, and if I have the chance to do it for that race, then I'll probably end up doing it myself because, you know, you only got to finish like 7th and you score more points than the leader. So that's really the main one left that I could really see equalizing it. Other than that, I mean, he'd have to absolutely like shit the bed for it to actually be a battle going into the final, you know, few laps of that race. He'd have to be like 10th and I'd have to be 1st. So we'll see. It'll depend on that.
All right. Well, either way, mate, great job on another podium drive out there. We'll be looking forward to seeing what you can do next week at Spa. All right. Now I want to talk with our driver who came home in 4th. Shredder, you were... Oh, no, wait. No, I'm sorry. You're not Shredder. I'm sorry. Our driver who came home in 4th, Mr. Sunshine... Oh, wait. No, I'm sorry.
Stop ignoring
Sunshine. Me. Our driver who came home in 4th, Snake... No, it wasn't Snake. I'm sorry. It was Prius Killer. Prius, you had an accident again, lap 1. This time all the way in turn 1. And yet somehow you came out in 4th. How in the world did you do that?
I'm asking myself that same question. I have no clue how I did that. I've never really raced at Monza. I think I've done 2 total, and it's been probably a year and a half since I did my last one, so I honestly don't really have a good answer for that besides Bentley go burr on the exit of corners.
You could say that again, mate. You fought and blasted away so many people over the course of the race. It wasn't quite a podium, but still, 4th. This will really help you close down against Shredder in your little fight for 5th in overall championship points. 1 race left, Spa, next week. A circuit that has some similarities here at Monza. What are your anticipations for yourself there?
I mean, I seem to be better at Spa than I have been at Monza in past races, so I'm hoping to be able to do something similar this again. Probably not beating Sunshine because he was doing the stock 2 and stuff, and so he was a little hindered there. In terms of the championship, no way I'm catching Shredder. It's still about an 80-point gap, so he'd have to get last in a 20-car field for me to have any chance. Unless I somehow do a winning in Spa, which is not going to happen whatsoever.
All right, well, irregardless, Prius, thanks for jumping in and talking with us, putting on a pretty interesting fight. I'm really interested to see what you can pull off in that car next week. All right, I want to talk with our 5th place finisher, Mr. Sunshine. Sunshine, go ahead and include your audio. Earlier this season, at the start of the year, driver who earned the most points at the end of the race was Scored Buffalo with 200. Then later on, at Laguna-Seca, he had most points earned at the end of the race, 220, as he took home 3 bonus challenges as well. Now today, You break that, Sunshine. You came home 5th, and with that 50% advantage, you now leave here with 225 points in the bag. Driver of the day material there. What do you have to say about your performance, Sunshine?
I wish it was a little bit better, honestly. I was, the stock tune was the only chance I was going to have at this track due to the aero that you have to run on the Porsche. But unfortunately, the gearing in the stock tune was worse acceleration than my normal tune, so it really just neutralized itself. But yeah, I kind of held it together. The first lap was a little crazy. I got into the lead, which I didn't expect. I didn't really know what to do with it. And then it was just a matter of getting out acceleration out of every single corner by the 4 people behind me for the rest of the race. And then Shredder almost caught me at the end and did the same thing. But luckily I was able to hold him off. He just kind of ran out of laps.
I mean, this is true, but I mean, Sunshine, I cannot state enough, like, how impressive this was. You were in a stock tune vehicle, and you are the first person since race 1 at Bathurst to lead laps against Lucky and Buffalo in a scenario that wasn't based on pit stops. You had that position on merit. Like, we've talked this season, oh, U5, he's going to be the one who will fight them down. Well, no, not really. Oh, it's going to be one of the TNR drivers. It'll be Horizon or Bright. No, not really. It's going to be Shredder. He runs the league. No, not really. It's you. You're the only person out who's shown up for more than one race who's leading laps on merit. Like, I don't think you get understand like how impressive this performance was today, mate.
Oh, well, there's something to be said for being consistent in the car, so I'll give it that. It was nice.
All right, one last question, and I'll move on. Spa next week. There's a possibility that Horizon may be running the same challenge that you ran today, but you opened up that gap pretty big. Do you think you have third in points locked up, or do you think it's still going to be an active fight?
I think I got a pretty good chance. I think the Aston on a stock tune at Spa is going to be worse than the Porsche on a stock tune at Monza. And if he does run the stock tune, I'm just going to do the challenges for the podium promise and the fastest, like, clean lap and stuff. Because I think if he runs the top the stock tune, I'll have a good shot at 3rd place. So might as well just try and capitalize on that. So we'll just trade challenges.
All right, well, irregardless, mate. Again, I know you're in when it wasn't even a podium, but probably the most impressive drive we've seen from everybody all season long. The only other drive I think that really compares is what you pulled off at Bathurst at the season opener. So, incredible drive, mate. Congratulations. I'm interested to see what you do next week. All right, I want to talk about our 6th place finisher now, SRD Shredder. Shredder, 6th last week after ranking top 5 a good chunk of the race. 6th today after ranking top 5 for a good chunk of the race again. I'm starting to see a pattern. What about you?
I mean, this week, essentially, with the car, as per usual, I had no idea what I was doing. So I used, essentially, it was stock tune, apart from gears and aero, because I couldn't get anything working. And qualifying, I did, got 5th in qualifying, which was impressive. I think most people stacked it as Scary. And going into the turn 1 thing, I got caught up with Prius, and then me and him went straight to the back of the field. And then for sort of first stint in the race, car was acting up and not at the same time. And then sort of it started mellowing out in the 2nd stint, and then just still making small mistakes. And then just started up putting some good laps together, and then caught up to Sunshine. And all needs to pass was 1 mile per hour, but like there was nothing I could have done to the tune, nothing more I could have done to the tune to like. Well, for how this did to it, apart from take all the aero off and extend like 5th gear as much as it can to get the best top end, I couldn't have done much more. I had about 3 or 4 chances in the final lap to get him, but the car got upset turn 1. It got upset on the turn, the 2nd chicane. Going onto the back, down to the Scary. I could have had a thing there, but the car didn't want to again. And then going to the final corner, it just understeered wide, and I lost all my momentum. And then, just chased him home and got up 6th.
All right, 1 race left, Shredder. You have a decent advantage over Prius, but a chunk of it's been eaten away. Spa next week. What do you think of your chances to wrap up 5th in points?
That depends what happens. Because Spa tends to be sort of one of my goodish tracks. Probably not in this car because I don't drive at all with it. But it's may have a good time. I don't really know. It's gonna be interesting. Is all I can pretty much say about that.
All right, well, regardless, mate, thanks for jumping in and talk with us. Double sixth-place finishes for SRD Shredder series host. ACR Snake's not here, so we're not going to be able to get anything from him. I want to talk with TireBarrier and NFL Racer. You two came home 8th and 9th in a fight that basically went down to the last lap. What do you two have to say about your days today?
It was what I expected. I got to hit the turn one chaos from basically last place to the sixth. I was able to maintain being up there the entire time. It went long. May have messed up Horizon's top 3 challenge because I was ahead of him.
Yeah, you were the one who ruined it for him.
Yes, I did. I'm not sorry about that because it's my race. I'm not gonna, it's just racing. I'm trying to do my own thing, not worry about what everyone else is doing, but I'm racing. And I had a bad time going into Curva Grande, which caused me to go run wide and spin out. Now let Info get back up there, and I'm like, I'm just gonna race him and not try to get by him right away because I really could have. I just sent it down to Parabolico or turn one and just ended it there. But I'm like, I'll have some fun racing. It was pretty fun racing, banging through it all.
All right, big thing, Tire. You're in a little bit of a weird points fight with ACR Snake. Both of you've shown up for a lot of races, but a lot of those points don't count because you keep changing cars, and every time you change cars, the points reset. So you and ACR Snake are in a little bit of a fight between the two of you. One race left. How do you think your chances are of being ahead of Snake at the end of the season?
Oh, they won't be because I only changed cars once, and I kept my points from that challenge, so it didn't literally kill me. And because I only race every other week because of my work schedule, so even if I wanted to race next week, I couldn't because I will be at work. So,
okay.
However it goes, if you said to me, it's not up to me. It's all up to him.
All right. Well, regardless, mate. Great fun watching you fight to the end. NFL Racer, what about you? You have anything you want to say about your run today? You seem to piss off a lot of drivers today. All right, yeah, one race left in the season. Big wild card, Lud1cr0us, more than likely not showing up next week. MabeyRacing, a little bit up in the air. So this wasn't a great performance for you, but do you think you could still maybe steal 7th by pulling off a better run next week?
So I feel like good luck, guys.
All right, well, either way, mate, great performance across the season, I would say. It's interesting what you've pulled off, the battles you've been fighting. I'm interested to see what you can throw down for one last race next week at Spa. Dino did come home 10th, but he doesn't use a mic, so I'm not even going to bother it. And scheme him anything. I'm just going to go ahead and start wrapping up the broadcast here. Anyways, anyway, I've been your host, Insane Leader 13. This has been our second to last race of the season. Next week is championship week at Spa-Francorchamps. LuckyVII, who missed a race at the start of the season, but has gone on a tear and has won 9 races since. Well, not 9 races since. I'm overstated. He has won 6 straight races and earned 8 races since versus Scored Buffalo, the man of consistency. Every race he's finished, he's been finishing in the top 4. It's going to be an incredible fight down to the end here, folks. I encourage you to join us next week at Spa-Francorchamps. Until then, though, stay safe and goodbye.